Be sure to comment in the chat if you have questions on the fly. Otherwise, I'll be opening up to conversations periodically. But again, welcome to AMP Talk Live. In the past, our conversations for AMP Talk Live have really been focused around the AMP Cycle brand. And we have those conversations in addition to this one. But what's been so great about our conversations with AMP Talk Live is we always get to the heart of why we're performers anyway. So I thought, why not just focus on that for AMP Talk Live? And it's been really fun. So last month, we were able to have some incredible performers with us. Dinah's on a lot, Dinah Borgoni from Texas, but Donna Thomas was on with us for AMP Talk Live last month. And then this month, we've got an incredible lineup of performers. We have Hillary Moorfield from Houston, Texas. We have Saira Muhaddin.
Yes.
Okay. I've been
That's
practicing.
great.
I've been practicing a lot because I tend to get some interesting stares from my friend Ariel and Eliza, who keep it real on my pronunciation of pretty much everything. Yeah. But then we also have Katie Haggerty, who's located in Minnesota, down in Atlanta or Empower right now. So welcome, all of you, and welcome. Thank you so much for the co-hosts that are tuning in today. So I am noticing a little bit of feedback, so if you guys could just go ahead and mute your lines, open it up if you have any questions. I'm just going to go ahead and go through and mute all of you, only because I love you and I want to make sure that we can hear everything. So, okay, so the objective of today's conversation, it is getting to the root of what it is that really inspires us as performers, but even deeper than that, as just human beings on how we interact with others and how we can get in touch with ourselves. So our lineup of performers, again, Katie, Saira, and Hillary have incredible stories to share. And I want to kick it off with Katie Haggerty. So I just teased this morning to what Katie is going to be talking about, and I'll just read directly from what I had mentioned on the grid. So Katie will be talking today about self-image and how it has been her greatest challenge while working in the fitness industry. She mentioned to me, I want to share my story about how the superficial perceptions of the fitness industry can either make or break you. So Katie, I'm going to go ahead and make sure that you're unmuted, which I think you are here. One second. So, yep, Katie, you're unmuted. I want to toss to you. So tell us more about your story of what I just mentioned.
Yeah, so I love this. And thanks for the opportunity, JR. Like, I think this is just so cool. And we need to keep in mind that everybody has a story. And just to like go off of mine is I know a lot of us walk around with, even Beyonce has something that she would probably want to change about her body. And we've been put into this world that has been filtered to a point of where it makes us want to buy things. It makes us want to be things rather than celebrate what we are in the moment. And one thing that I have gotten the opportunity to find is one of my greatest challenges is the body that I've been given and that I'm in. And decide myself if I want to use it as a tool to utilize as my own unique power or as my worst enemy. And it all started from when I was a kid and I was judged for the way my teeth looked. And then it moved into, you know, like my body. And then everything turned around. I couldn't go a day without having another kid or another human being judge me for the way that I looked. And when I found fitness, I walked by this studio of moving bodies that I'd actually thought were like the New York Knicks dancers, like celebrating and practicing in Minnesota, like that was their hideout. And then when I was invited into the class and actually crossed over the threshold of the studio for the first time, guys, ever, I did not feel an ounce of judgment. And it was so cool to be able to be wrapped in an atmosphere where people are moving and celebrating their bodies and didn't judge mine. So it immediately, can you hear me?
Yeah.
It had immediately opened up. I'm just hearing a lot of dialogue. Is that me or is that somebody else?
I'm seeing that everybody but one was muted. You should be good to go.
Okay, cool. So what I have found in that community, guys, was just like my purpose. It launched. You don't ever walk into things without, purpose behind it. There's no accident to where you show up. And 2 years later, as they're celebrating me going off to college, and I had already lost without even like trying 50 pounds, and finally feeling like, and coming into who I am as a person, not as a judgment, but knowing who I was and what I loved and what I felt when I moved. I ended up going up to college and started teaching right away. And I ended up deciding that that was going to be my purpose of my career. And when I had moved back down to the cities to go from University of Minnesota Duluth to University of Minnesota, I had a private audition because I want to keep teaching, but it wasn't my community that I've been teaching in for 2 years now. But when I did come down to the cities, my audition, I walked into my atmosphere that was my number one platform of purpose and not feeling judgment. My home of that was immediately disrupted when I felt judgment from another colleague. And that was the colleague who was performing the audition on me. And I will tell you, the entities in the walls that came from was Lifetime. And I vowed personally never to work for a company called Lifetime again because of how that made me feel. Because I chose, yeah, go ahead.
Hold that thought. I want to go back a little bit further. So when you and I were talking about, you know, the perception that you had of yourself prior to the fitness industry, as a kid, you said that you were bullied for a lot of reasons. Did you believe what they were saying?
I love that question. I actually had parents who I know is why I am the way I am today. When I went home, they actually taught me a very huge core value that you can either choose to listen to them and believe what they say, or you choose not to. And you believe what your people who love you and know you are for more than what you look like. So they actually always taught me to believe in myself. But it's hard because and that's what I battled, is that you battle, like, do you listen to what everybody else's opinion is, or do you listen to your own? And you have to come into figuring out, and that's what the beauty of life is. And that's why I'm so like appreciative of having this opportunity to have this conversation, because it comes down to, no matter what we battle and no matter what we go through, it is our choice to either use it as our fuel to get us to the next step, or use it as our opportunity to dim our own light. And that is our choice.
Was there a moment in the fitness industry when that light dimmed? You know, in the fitness industry, you said it right in your quote, the superficial perceptions that are in the fitness industry. There are some that would say that we've got a certain look and vibe and post on Instagram that we have to live up to be a certain way. So speak to that.
Yeah. So from that audition, like, my perception came away that I wasn't hired because of my body type. Now, was I the best teacher in the room? No, I was only 2 years in. I was probably terrible, but my perception and how I felt was my reality. So that was the first one. If you fast forward, then I did find a home to teach in, and I found really good friends and community around that. And one of them was a personal trainer. And this was a straw that broke the camel's back, as I'm on the lap pull down machine. And my friend, who's also training me at the same time, before I'm about to go into 2 classes, says to me, "It is a shame that you look the way that you do because you are so good." So what he was saying in that moment was, you're never going to be anything because your body type doesn't fit a mold.
Can you repeat that quote? I want to make sure everybody downloaded that.
It's a shame that you look the way that you do because you are so good.
So in that moment, when you were pursuing a career in fitness, what was that moment like for you?
That moment was, to me, it was a straw that took everything and said, "Little girl, you have got to have a six-pack in order to be successful. So if this is your job that you are choosing to pursue, you have to look a certain way." And that is what I chose to put my effort and belief into.
So what resulted of that? You mentioned to me that there was...
That resulted into 7 years of a selfish eating disorder. And I can use those words because it was mine. And I have faced the depths of the darkness of what an eating disorder can do. And what it does is it puts you into this place of unreality, disrespect to your own self, disrespect to the ones that you love around you, because you are so self-absorbed and constantly trying to fit something that is unattainable and unrealistic. And that was my story. And so what happened is my original purpose of creating a place for everyone to come into and to celebrate their bodies just as they are that day turned into a facade. And my sister actually put my face in a mirror and said, she challenged me and she said, "I will out you to everyone if you don't get help. If you don't start fixing this up," she said, "because you are a fraud. She goes, you tell everybody in your classes to love themselves for the way that you are. You come here every single day. You cross our threshold, because I lived with her. And she said, and you destroy yourself. Do you think somebody with self-respect would do that to themselves? And my whole world just went crap. So it does take an army of a support system. Know who you're aligning yourself around and follow that good vibe. There is something about toxicity and negativity in this world, and we can get caught up in it, where we start believing those opinions and all of what we see on social media. There's so much good to that, but there's also so much that we have to err on the side of caution. But guys, you got to be mindful of these things, and this is what I want to get across in this talk today. If somebody can pose their opinion on you, it is your choice to take it or not. Now, do I continue to put myself out there because of the support system that I had? I got through it. But what I started to realize, and my daddy always said this, he said, little girl, your body is your best brand. Nobody else in the fitness industry has a body like yours. Start relating to people in an authentic level that you are going to be the bigger guy. You are going to be the guy who you can look like when they walk in. He goes, I want to walk into a teacher like you because now I feel like I have a fighting chance. And my dad was overweight. So he goes, if I walk into a six-pack, he goes, I'm already intimidated and I'm already down on myself, assuming that I can't do it because they can't relate to me. He goes, you're already ahead of the game relating with the real people. And when I started really believing that and using that to my advantage, thank you, Kayla. When I started using that to my advantage, things changed. And I had to take a self-discovery on myself. And I'll fast forward to when I've gotten opportunities to teach at fitness conferences across the country. I'm sitting on a stage at Idea World, and this is the year 2015. And we're in Southern California, and I'm teaching to a room of over 200 people, a dance session. I am having a blast. I'm at Idea World. I'm living a dream. What happens with those situations that can look glamorous from afar, you get feedback from every single event that you do. And one of the feedback notes amongst all of the many that were like, that was amazing. I loved her dance session. I love her energy, da, da, da. I always look for the feedback. There's one that I will never forget. I was repulsed that I had to watch a body like that at an event at the elite level of Idea World, that she would even get the opportunity to present. But the next sentence was, but her choreography was really good. And so I take things like that, you guys, and I can either, it hits, it vibrates your body, and it goes, oh, like I shouldn't be up there. I don't want to take that. Or use it as a fuel to your effing fire, and you look out there, and the fact that I got the opportunity to have the lens point and the viewpoint looking out at 200 people in a session that I got the privilege and responsibility to lead, just told me she wanted to be up there too. So I look at feedback like that and I say, do the work, because I will celebrate the fact that you were able to give that feedback, knowing that it probably came from a place that you're working hard as well, and you want to be up there, and you're just trying to push me into a place of saying that, you know, you should rather be up there because you have a better body than me, but I'm up here because of the work that I've done. So every single time I get feedback like that, I use it as the fuel to my fire to go to the next level.
I have to ask you, so going back to when you mentioned the quote of your body is your best brand, that very moving quote, before you heard that, and maybe after, did you ever question if fitness is where you wanted to be?
Never. But I got so mad at my dad because I still had this illusion and delusion of what I was supposed to look like to be successful. I allowed the superficiality to be a marker of my own success, when really it has nothing about it. Guys, the world is changing. The tides are turning. You can either get caught up in the superficial, which is looking at something where it's like, how do you plan an action plan to actually get to that? Which, yes, you can do nutrition, you can do all the good things, but really when we talk about a healthy way of life as we do at our company, what's the balance going on of mind, body, and soul? That's health to me. So if you're in a place where you can truly connect with other people and what we do day in and day out, if you don't celebrate and own your body, good luck trying to get somebody else to do that same thing. Guys, you've got to believe it. When it comes from that authentic place, that's how you connect with people. And it's an everyday challenge. Do you think I still don't wake up and like critique myself and say like, oh, these pants, no. But that's why it's important to me that I feel good. And like J-Lo says, When you feel good, you look good. It doesn't even matter what you wear. But you've got to get this into a place where it matches how you feel, and then it exudes out of there. I'm not the best dancer in the room, but do I let everything go out on the floor and allow everybody else to do that when I teach? Hell yeah, I do. Because it's about like how connected you are with yourself. And if somebody else has an opinion, thanks for your opinion, but it don't matter to me right now.
Yeah.
So telling someone to be authentic and to live their most authentic life is a hell of a lot easier than actually doing that. It takes a lot of courage and advice. So what tips do you have for those that are listening on where do we begin on finding that true authentic self, and how do we become okay with that?
I think what it takes is, and Donna Thomas is sitting 10 feet to my left here, is I think what it takes is learning how to take that feedback and not saying that don't feel it. You have to feel it, and you have to understand where it's coming from in order to really know how to deal with it, mold it into your own ammo, and where do you want to place it. You can either take it, hold on to it, and put it on your armor and create another wall of a barrier that doesn't connect you to somebody else and shuts you down, dims your light, or you use it to brighten your light. So it's a matter of take the feedback, let yourself feel it. What are you going to do with it? And don't forget about where you want to go with it. Don't get caught up in the stuff of I have to look like this. I hear a lot in the industry too. Like I have to be this great of a teacher, and I have to have this many years under me, and I have to have this many certifications under me. I will say till the day I die, it doesn't matter how much knowledge you have. It's how well you relay that knowledge. It's how well you communicate that knowledge. And what it comes down to is how well you connect with people around you. But if you don't have that own connection to your own self, good luck having that to somebody or something else. And to deliver whatever it is that you want to deliver in this life, your effect of change as what we choose in this life is to teach people how to move. And that comes with inspiration, that comes with motivation, that comes with education, and it comes with that platform for us to also face our fears every day. So feel. My advice to you guys is to feel all the feels, but you can't just sit in the victim. If you sit in the victim, you're giving your power away to somebody else. And when you can sit with your feels and you know exactly how to utilize them into the direction where you want to go, not pushing you back, but to where you want to go, sometimes it will stop you and be like, ooh, is that something I need to take? Is that something I really need to bring into? Like that hurts, but there's some validity to it.
So question for you. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
Finish your thought there.
It's just a matter of like taking any sort of, feedback that somebody's going to give you. And how are you going to use it? Because putting ourselves in this place, we are putting ourselves in this place of judgment. We are open to getting that critical feedback. And a lot of times it's either going to come from the superficial side or it's going to come from the side, I care about you. So I'm going to tell you right now, you got a big old hole in the back of your pants. I want somebody to tell me that versus everybody talking about it behind my back.
So question for all of you, and Katie, I'm going to bring this back to you in just a second. All right.
Yeah.
Everybody that's watching today, if your camera's on, who has a hater that's maybe around them, maybe on a weekly basis, maybe on a monthly basis? Who's got a hater somewhere? You don't have to. I'm just asking you. So Katie, how do you shut off the haters? You know, that energy, it's something, it's like that person that's poking you on the back shoulder and they don't stop. It's an energy. How do you shut that off and translate that into something positive?
If you try to lead everyone, you're pleasing no one. It is not, you have to understand the difference of who are you trying to prove it to? If you can't answer the question that really everything that you do is proving it for your own purpose and your own mission, you're doing it for the wrong reason. So if I'm trying to prove myself to get into a superficial place because I'm trying to fit somebody else's identity of what fitness looks like, I'm no longer serving my purpose. So you have to answer that question, who are you doing it for? So when you get the haters, whenever you get that through, and you give it some stock, then it's going to a place of that's helping me get to the next spot. Listening to that girl who said I was repulsive helps me understand not to react to her in a negative way, but to feel for her and say, I get it. I get what that feels like to want to be up on stage. So you're going to say things to break somebody else down to get there. I'm going to choose not to do that. So I use it as lessons. And so you take all this and you just look at it, because I'm not going to let it affect me and where I'm going forward, but I'm going to take it and grab more empathy in the world. Use it for more compassion in the world rather than react with hate to hate. If you get a force of resistance to resistance, all you're going to find is resistance. But if I accept that resistance and I say, I'm good with me, you have that, that's cool. We're all going to have an opinion. So when you learn to like not take it so personally, your world starts opening up. But you have to be okay with this one thing. Not everyone is going to love you. And I'm okay with that. If I love me at the end of the day, bring it on.
So how does all of this help you with your interaction with others and your relatability with members, friends, family members, taking all of this? You know, there could be
more authentic connections. Like bottom line. I'm sorry, JR, like finish.
No, I'm so happy that you jumped in with that. You, I mean, you're one of the most present and most aware in the moment people I've ever met. I'll never forget when I was in one of your Warrior Sculpt classes, which I go to every week, by the way. When you walked in, I knew that you were running late. You and I have talked about this. There was a look of panic for about 2 seconds. And then suddenly you were completely aware and totally present, connected, eye contact with every person in the room. And there was like 80 people in the room. So how do you take everything that you just said regarding image, feedback, the haters? How do you take that into play with your interaction with others, friends, relationships?
Holding space of more compassion and empathy. Just knowing, like, when I'm running into a class late like that, I can calm myself down by knowing it's okay, giving myself permission to, again, not be perfect. Like, we're all going to have those days, but make the most of the moments that you're in rather than what you don't have or what has happened to you rather than what is happening for you. So going into that space quickly reminds me, like, oh my gosh, I know the whole entire morning's been a whirlwind. Look at these 80 people who showed up here to play today. Gets me immediately in a mood of being present and going, what are my opportunities right now? Versus like, I have to apologize for what got me in here 2 minutes late. Rather, we're 2 minutes in, we'll make up for the time. Look at who showed up here today. And then that brings me down to a level of, if I hold on to my things that brought me into a whirlwind into that studio and I keep going in that whirlwind, I'm going to make you guys feeling anxious. And as a teacher, if we can remember that it is a co-leading game, if you connect with those people who are in front of you and you don't come from that place of a superficial judgment, getting back to that, and you come back to, I just listened to this TED Talk by Lovey, making the uncomfortable comfortable, or finding the comfort in the uncomfort. I sent it to a couple of people, so if you want it, let me know. I'll send it to you. But she said, I love this because we talk about judgment a lot. She said, I'm judging you because I know you can do better. So if we do use judgment, like use it in that sense, rather than taking the judgment of the people who are using it on a superficial level, if that makes sense.
It's amazing. I'm going to open it up to everybody that's viewing in today. And I'm going to take 2 questions for Katie. Any questions for Katie? And if there's not 2, that's okay. But what do we have for Katie today? And yeah.
Wait, before you guys do, because I want to take all these questions, just to tie that back into that co-play with your classes, is if you bring all that whirlwind into your classes, be sure to let them show up just as much as you show up. And the only place to do that is to come from, JR, when you asked me, like, what have I learned from that, is to be more authentic. When I can show up more authentic and comfortable in who I am, it's not about what my hair looks like, or did I remember my lip gloss this morning, or what outfit did I wear. It's about how people are feeling in interactions. And if I'm driving by someone, I'm not making them feel special. When I'm comfortable with myself, even if I have that one moment, I know I'm going to be okay going into the next moment, one moment behind, because that's where I was supposed to be that day. You start believing that you're exactly where you are supposed to be, the more connected you are, rather than trying to prove something and get something else done to somebody else. And that is, guys, called creating your boundaries. Brene Brown says this quote, keep this with you. The most compassionate people in the world have the strictest boundaries.
It's amazing.
Let
back to you guys, back to the viewers. Any questions from you performers today for Katie? If you have any questions, just DM me or DM, just direct message Katie. Otherwise, for those of you that are watching the recorded version, do exactly the same. Reach out to Katie at any time with questions. Katie, thank you so much. I have lots of amazing quotes that I'll be taking with me today. So thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you for offering this platform. It is absolutely incredible. So thank you, JR, for what you do, because Lord knows, like, you probably deal with your stuff just like we all deal with our stuff. And to show up like this for all of us, to create a platform to talk about real stuff, you guys, let's give it up for JR for 1 second.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. We all have to have a platform to share our stories, right? Just like Donna Thomas did on the last episode of AMP Talk Live.
I love her too, Amber. Look, DT gets more than anyone. Get out. Get out. I love you guys. Thank you.
All right. And Katie, I think you have to get going. If you want to stick around a little bit longer, totally up to you. But I know you've got some classes to teach for Empower, so totally cool.
I do. I'm going to watch the rest of it. I can't wait to hear the rest of your stories at a later time. Thank you, everyone.
See you later. All right. So I'm going to toss over to Hillary Moorfield from Houston. So Hillary, how's it going today?
I had to unmute myself there. I'm great. I'm totally moved right now by everything Katie just said. It really ties, I think it ties in a lot to what I'm going to be talking about today, just about the self-acceptance and self-worth and it all being here.
Yeah. So I'm going to tell you all what I mentioned in the tease again to Hillary's story today. So Hillary's going to share her story about when her primary focus was to please others. So Hillary, you mentioned that you were more of a people pleaser at one time. And it was really at the expense of your own self-worth. You quoted to me, I recently learned how to say no when I only used to say yes to other people. So share your story. So where did it all begin? I mean, when were you, quote unquote, a people pleaser, and what was the turning point for you?
So I've pretty much been raised to be a people pleaser.
And what does that mean?
What does it mean to be a people pleaser? Well, it's just being cordial all the time at the expense of your own self. I hate to be dramatic, but sometimes it can mean being a doormat. You take things, you put up with things that you really shouldn't from others. You don't defend yourself because you're worried. You're more concerned about those people not liking you or thinking ill of you than your own self-worth. And I was always told, just be nice to everybody. And if someone's mean to you, you just ignore them, and you just ignore them and go away and just walk away. And that was just me my whole life, especially my adult life. And it happened growing up. It happened when I first started working. It happened with my family, with my in-laws, coworkers. I pretty much let their opinions of me determine how I would be. And it was exhausting. And the turning point, the real thing that kicked me in the butt. And if I get emotional, I'm not going to say I'm sorry, because that was one of my struggles, was saying I'm sorry. And that's going to segue into this part. Kathy Canals is on the call. And I asked her to be here today. She doesn't have to talk. Don't worry, Kathy. I'm not going to make you talk. But I just wanted her to be here because she changed my life. Not only because she saw something in me as a performer, but she said to me, I just had my second child and I was coming back and it was a training. And why am I crying? Anyway, she said to me, I walked into her office and I said, God, this is so embarrassing.
You're fine.
I said,
Girl,
Kathy,
you're not the first to cry. Keep going. Girl.
It was just such a big deal. Thank you, Lisa. I appreciate that. I walked into her office and I said, Kathy, I'm sorry to bother you, but I had a question about something. I don't know. And she looked at me, and when Kathy gives you the look, you better straighten up. She looked at me and she said, and I'm going to keep it PG, but she said, Hillary, stop apologizing for everything. You are so much better than that. You are so much more valuable than that. You don't need to apologize for walking into a room. You don't need to apologize for talking to me, for talking to anybody. Stop apologizing. And she threw some other great words in there too, but they were impactful, and it was just like, you know, like I wasn't like, my feelings didn't get hurt by it or anything, because Kathy's tough, but she's tough love. That moment was a transformation for me. And I was like, I am better than this. I really am better than this. And so from then on out, I mean, I'm still a work in progress. This was 4 years ago. My daughter's now 4. This is before she left from Houston to go to North Carolina. But anyway, I really made an effort to stop apologizing. And it's like, do I need to apologize for walking into a room? No. Do I need to apologize for asking a question? No. I mean, yeah, if you accidentally hit somebody in the face with the door, yeah, you apologize. But like, I was apologizing for everything. And it was exhausting. And that was the beginning of this change. And as I was teaching more and more and getting more involved in Lifetime, I would see that there were leaders who would also try to take advantage of that, me being apologetic, me being a people pleaser, and they would try to walk on me. And I started to allow it. But then Kathy also said to me, you've got to start saying no, Hillary. If you want to do somebody a favor, that's great. But if it's not serving your purpose, you have to say no. Because if it's wearing you down, or wearing your family down, or wearing your kids down because you're not there with them, you have to learn how to say no. And that was another turning point for me. And when I started to not say yes all the time, because I always want to help and I always want to, you know, do what I can. When I finally started to think, am I able to do this for this person? Or do I really need to be at home with my kids? Or do I really need to rest my body? Or do I need to take some time for myself? It started to change the way I was treated by others as well. And most importantly, it changed how I thought about myself. Like, I am worth taking care of myself. I am worth the rest. I'm really good at what I do. I'm a good person. Why did I allow myself to be just beaten up on? And why did I beat myself up? Why did I beat myself up so much? And so that was the beginning of that. And then there was another moment. I posted this recently. I saw a quote, or I heard a quote that said, you know, you can be the ripest, juiciest peach on the tree, but there will always be someone who doesn't like peaches. And that's okay. And not everybody's going to like me. That's okay. Not everybody's going to like my classes. That's okay. And I can't live my life trying to make everybody like me, because that is impossible. It is impossible. And I recently accepted that. And I shouldn't try to change who I am or what I do to please everybody. And that, JR, you said something to me the other day. If you want to go ahead and chime in, you can.
Go ahead.
We talked, and it's been on my mind like every day since I've heard it, JR. And it sounds like common sense, but it's something we need to hear. He said, listen, Hillary, you will, as long as you are 100% yourself, authentic Hillary, you, not anything else, be anybody else, you will always win. You will always win when you're 100% authentic and you. And I have been thinking about that every single day, because it's not just in my group fitness classes, you know, it's not just at work. It's with my family. It's with my in-laws, my husband, my kids. I'm teaching my kids that to be that way. And it's like what Katie said, when you walk into your classes and you see people and you have that confidence and you are authentically you and authentically connecting with those people, that's where it changes everything, not only for you, but for the members and the people around you in every place in your life.
So I want to talk more about that in a second. Thank you for bringing that up. I'm really blown away that that conversation made a really profound impact on you. Hold that thought for a second. I want to go back to, so when you made the shift from saying yes all the time, was it hard to break the habit?
Yes. I still fight it. I do. I'm constantly working on myself. And that's where I struggle, is when I do say no, when I do get the courage to say no, which I've really gotten good at, my mind will sometimes obsess and think about that person that I told no, like all day. And I'll be like, oh my gosh, are they upset with me? Do they hate me? Or am I not going to get an opportunity? Am I going to make them mad? Are they going to talk about, and then I'm like, turn it off, Hillary, turn it off. My mom went to New York and she saw a play, and I forgot, I don't know if it was Hamilton or Evan Hansen or something like that. But she said in the play, one of the quotes was turn it off. When you start to get those demons, I guess you can call it, in your head, you turn it off. You have to turn it off, because in the end, you got to do what's best for you.
How does it feel for you when you say no? So not necessarily no, but not giving in to saying
not
yes.
giving in.
What does it feel like for you? Does it make you feel empowered and confident, or does it make you feel a little uneasy, or maybe both?
Both. It always starts out anxiety ridden. I still struggle. I still have anxiety when I say no. But then once I get past that, it is empowering. It's like, oh my gosh, yes. Weight off my shoulders, And the more often I've done it, the stronger I've gotten and the easier it's gotten. It's kind of like, I guess, is that too much to say? Is that too dramatic? Maybe. But it's like a bad habit that you have to get out of.
So we've known each other for a little bit more than 2 years now. I'll never forget when we did the Teach Back for AMP cycle, and I know you teach a lot of formats down in Houston. And it's been really incredible seeing you grow as a performer. I mean, I can feel it through what you post on Instagram. And I mean, Hillary's also a master trainer with us for AMP cycle. So we have a solid amount of interaction regarding that. But I remember when you had a few people in your classes, and now you've got like packed classes, and it's so incredible. So incredible. I mean, we're all proud of that, walking into a full room is freaking awesome.
Yeah.
So taking everything that you just mentioned, how does this play a role in your career and passion for being a performer and interaction with the members and community members?
Oh, it's huge, JR, because I have had so many people just in my past in the fitness industry say, Hillary, you got to quit playing that music. You got to quit wearing your hair like that. Why do you wear so much eyeliner? Why don't you dress sexier? Why don't you do this? Why don't you speak like this? Why are you trying to do this? Why are you need to tweak it like that. And like, I let that get to me, and it jacked me up. And I would walk into class and I was just like, I wasn't confident. I wasn't me. I wasn't authentic.
So what's it like now when you're interacting with members?
Now it's insane. It's incredible. I've transformed. The light went on.
Have your classes gotten better? Your delivery?
Classes are better. They're harder, but you don't realize it because it's fun. I'm burning more calories. I'm getting fitter all of a sudden. I don't know how. I think it's because I think it's here. It's like it's all gotten better because I just decided, screw it. I'm gonna do me. I'm gonna do it my way. I'm gonna wear my damn eyeliner. I'm gonna play that song because that song's awesome. So and so may not like it, but I'm gonna make them like it because it's a connection, I think. And when I accepted myself and I turned off the haters and I turned that into fuel, as Katie says, and I didn't, sit in the victim. It changed my classes because it changed me. And I think people sense that confidence, and they sense that genuine connection and that authenticity. And I think that happens.
do you think by you sharing this story with us today is going to give you more confidence walking into your classroom, interacting with the haters, quote unquote, that perhaps are in your community? Do you feel, I'm bringing this up because I'm feeling like a breath of fresh air from you right now.
Yes, that's probably why I cry. Because it's releasing this. Because I think people look at people and they think that they have it together and they think they have it easy. Nobody has it easy. Everybody has a demon. Everybody has a struggle. And I mean, I'll be honest with you right now, I'm shaking. Like, this is very scary for me. But as we've gone on, I feel better. I feel more confident. And if you guys think I'm a psycho or weird, then sorry, not sorry. Not going to apologize, Kathy. I'm not going to say I'm sorry. So it really has. Thank you for allowing me to do that, to put myself out here like this.
There were some great questions and comments that came in on the chat. One that really resonated with me, and I'll toss the other ones in just a second, but from Jen Weatherman, you made a mention of comparing yourself to other performers that have full classes. So Hillary, way back when you had smaller classes, and look, I'm sure there's still classes that you might teach where they're smaller than, you know, being full. But back when you were newly certified, what was it like for you walking into a room that wasn't full? And did you compare yourself? And what's it like now for you?
Yes, I did. In the beginning, I did. I would say, what's wrong with me? And I would question the way I looked. I'm like, okay, I'm not fit enough. I'm not edgy enough. I'm too vanilla. Maybe I should get my hair. Maybe because I always thought I was a good instructor, but I didn't think I was great, especially at AMP because I wasn't comfortable yet. But then with all of these experiences and with time, I'd let that go. And then when I would show up to a class, I mean, it was really like a shift in my brain. When I would show up to class, I remember I taught on Tuesday at noon. I had 4 people there. And I walked in and there were 4 people and the 5 of us had an awesome time. We had a blast.
Do you teach the same class? I mean, I'm not asking.
No, it's not on the schedule anymore.
Well,
it got taken off.
You teach the same class, whether it's 5 people or 70 people.
Oh, that's what you mean. Yes. I mean, when I go in there, I have the mindset, it doesn't matter if it's 4 people or 400 people, we're going to have an awesome time. And it is a mindset. It really is a mindset, because if you let that get to you, you will not give those people that showed up for you the experience that they came for. And then in turn, you're also damaging yourself. And when I had that class of 4 people and it was an amazing time, the next 10 people, and we had an amazing time. And then it built and built and built. And now it's amazing. I mean, I teach a 10:30 class on Saturday, and at City Center, people don't like to really work out late on Saturday morning. And within 9 months, it has grown so much. And I think that says something.
Yeah, I mean, Jen, does that help speak to what you were asking about?
Yes,
it doesn't let me know.
It's really, I'm coming into kind of a different situation. I'm pretty confident in my own style and everything, but I'm back to back with a lady who has been at Lifetime since the beginning. And so she still makes music videos for her classes, and she's not branded.
Oh.
So she has the entire club in her class because they like those music videos. So I subbed for her, and she is awesome. She's very supportive. I love her. But those videos are just killing the vibe with the people when they come to one without videos. So I'm following that, and I'm just really trying to, use all the lighting and make them focus on moves and challenge them, because when they're in her class, they're more watching J-Lo and Pitbull,
So hey, question. So really quick on that point. So just be real, is it an AMP cycle class? Another cycle class?
studio cycle.
Okay. No matter what the format is, just to quickly address the music video thing, it's a big no. We can't do it. It's a legal issue. So I know that's not in your hands, but we just can't. We legally cannot play music videos. And there's some visual content that is very off color, which is very hard, very challenging to control. One day, music videos will likely be available. We're just not there yet. So no matter what the format is now, just to give you all perspective on what the video situation is it's a huge no. So if you wanted to communicate this to your studio manager, and I mean, I can connect with them as well. It's never a situation of like, don't do this, like coming from a negative place. They maybe just are out of the know. So I can help like clear that up or give it more, I don't know, the real deal sort of situation.
Yeah, I mean, I think the studio manager should be supportive in that respect.
Yeah.
Actually, she is. She's in a new position of it though, and I believe they've probably tried in the past to get rid of them, but the members come and complain, and it's a big stink fest. Yeah.
Reach out to me separately. I want to keep going with the conversation today. I'm going to move on. I know there were some other questions. Kayla, I'm going to touch on your question at the end after Saira's talking with us in just a moment. So Hillary, thank you for sharing your story today. I know that took a lot to go there and to touch on all the things that you did. Just when you and I were having a prep conversation earlier this week, I've been taking those moving feelings with me all week long, and I've learned so much from you. So thank you. So I'm going to move on to Saira. So Saira in the Chicago region. So Saira, I'm going to first welcome you. Thank you for joining us today. And big shout out to the Chicago crew. There's several of you that have been in and out during our conversation today, but I'm going to read what I posted today. So Saira from Chicago will tell us about the time when she decided to hide her ethnicity and to cover up a big part of her identity. She quoted to me, "Everyone around me was the same in the small town that I grew up in, and I was different. I was the only South Asian girl in my town. I didn't celebrate Christmas. I knew I was different, and I wasn't proud of being different. If my mom wore ethnic clothing to the mall, I had a heart attack." So, Saira, tell us more about this story on how your ethnicity has played a role in where you're at today.
First of all, hi, everyone. Thank you for having me, JR. Embracing who I was took a long time. To be honest, I grew up in a small town called Lake Zurich, not far from where I teach in Algonquin, in the 80s, right? And at that time, I was in a school system where I believe it was like 98% Caucasian. And I felt I felt fine, but there were moments where I would feel very different. For example, on the first day of school, when the teacher would call roll, she would go down the roster, and every time, never fail, as soon as the teacher got to my name, she would pause. And I knew that pause meant my name was coming. And the issue was that my name had an I in it. So my name is Saira, so it's spelled like Sarah, but there's an I in the middle. So I would interrupt the teacher in her pause. I'd say, "It's Sarah." And she'd be like, "But what about the I?" And I say, "It's silent. At 7. I just made up a lie. I said it was silent." And I went on that way all the way through high school. Anyone that knows me before 18 calls me Sarah. Then I got to college. And when I got to college, I joined a Indian Pakistani cultural club, where I came across an individual who asked me my name, and they said, "What's your name?" I said, "Sarah." They're like, "I think you're wrong. It's Saira. You have an I in your name." And I was like, you know what? I kind of like the way that sounds. By chance, do you know what my name means? And they said it meant one who loves to travel. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I absolutely love to travel. My name is who I am. I had no idea that at the age of 7, when I told the teacher that the I in my name was silent, that I wasn't removing just the I was removing a part of my ethnic identity, my religious identity, And most importantly, I was trying to just be the same as everyone, not cause an issue, as a teacher called roll. I just wanted her to go smoothly through the list. I didn't want to be different, right? And so I share this story with my participants and never fail. At the end of class, I always have somebody come up to me and say, you know what? I went through the same thing. I went through my entire childhood calling myself Bella when my name was Belia. So I have used this experience to empower others in being confident in who they really are, and not just trying to filter it to what society thinks is easy or fit in to the social constructs of what we think is normal. Does that make sense?
So then when you grew into your adulthood, bringing that with you, where you had hidden that part of your identity, where you grew up in an area that you did where you were not like everyone else, bringing that with you into your adulthood, and now moving, fast forwarding into a performer. You've been performing for a while for us. So what is it like connecting with members? I mean, you were mentioning that, but connecting with members, but also how do you feel now today, now that you've got ownership over who you are?
I feel so authentic. I feel real. I don't feel like I'm pretending to be someone that I'm not. Being South Asian and being actually the first person in my entire family on both sides, mother and father, to be born in this country, I felt almost as though I had two identities and I had to separate them. So at school, I was one person, and then when I come home, I was another person. When in reality, I don't need to separate them. I can be the same person in both settings. So another example would be when I would be home, I'd be a little bit more quiet, a little bit more reserved. And I realized that I didn't need to be that way. I could be who I was at school, at home as well. It goes both ways. Do you know what I mean?
Do you wish that you would have owned up to who you are now, owned more of your identity earlier in your life?
No. I love the story that I have. It makes me who I am today. If I never felt those moments of not belonging, I would never know what it feels like not to belong or be able to sense that upon someone else. So when I do sense that a person feels like as if they're uncomfortable or don't fit in, I run to them to comfort them, to make them feel like it's okay. It's okay to be different. It's okay to be uncomfortable or unsure of yourself. We've all been there. So without this story, I wouldn't be who I am today. So I don't really regret not going by Saira before 18. It really made me who I am today.
And I will just throw in there that I love your name.
Thank you.
And yeah, so what is it like for, I mean, for the people around you, your fellow performers down there in the Chicago region, have they noticed, I mean, are they aware of this transformation, so to speak, that's happened since you've been growing, evolving as a human and owning, the conversation that you had with your members about who you are? Have they taken notice of this? I mean, have you noticed any level
Yes.
of motivation, inspiration?
Absolutely. We do. The performers in Chicago are absolutely amazing. We have visitors almost monthly come in from all over the region to see what's going on in Algonquin. And at the end, I always see these performers that come and visit us incredibly captivated during the dedication. Almost like, OMG, we can get that deep? It's like, yes, that's how deep we get. We ride the rhythm, we party hard, and then, yeah, we might cry at the end.
I mean,
But that's okay.
I think everyone that's tuning in right now knows what the dedication is, but just to clear up for those of you that are watching the recorded version of this conversation, the dedication is the last part of an amp cycle class prior to the cool down, where it's like the Shavasana, kind of like in a yoga class moment, sort of, it really is, and that's how it's incorporated into our amp cycle class. So how often are you making mention of this in your cycle classes?
Making mention of?
The transformation that you just talked about. I mean, are you talking about it often? Is it something that you don't need to say, it just goes without saying?
I do a lot of the times when we do speak in the dedication, not just this story, but other stories that I have from life experiences. I share, I'm sorry, the screen is.
I can see you.
Yeah. I share with my participants. I am very unfiltered and raw. I don't always put myself in I'm willing to put myself in not the most positive light. If I make a mistake, I share that with them. And I share the learning moment from that. Maybe I was in a place of judgment. Maybe I was judging somebody and I shouldn't have been. What came from that? It's real, And so the connections that form with the participants are priceless. They're incredibly authentic. I feel that when we dare to be authentic, when we speak to our participants, that it creates a true foundation for lovability. Like they're not loving a six-pack on stage or a well-spoken instructor that has high energy. They're loving you for your flaws, for your good, your bad, your ugly, everything, your weaknesses, your strengths, and it becomes real because you're human. Perfection is just not a reality for us. We're not. I hope I didn't stray from your initial question. I think I did.
It was a great response. So what do you say to, I have a two-part question. First part is, what do you say to the performers that struggle with, I guess, speaking to their story? Katie, at the top of this conversation, made a mention of, we've all got a story. I just talked to somebody yesterday that said, I don't really have a story, which is very hard for me to wrap my mind around, because I really do believe that we all have a story. So what advice would you have for someone that can maybe open up, go a little bit deeper into sharing who they are as a person and make it authentic? What tips would you have for someone that could maybe go a little bit deeper in connecting with members by sharing their story?
Be fearless. Be fearless. Don't fear what others may think of you. Trust that you being raw and authentic will bring love, real love. Trust that. Trust that 100% when you're speaking to your participants. Don't fear what they may think, because it's just what they may think. I lost you.
No, I can hear you.
Okay. So essentially it's about courage. Be courageous. Don't be scared of someone being not understanding you, because more likely than not, they will understand you. Most people will understand you. There'll be a small fraction of people who don't. Even if you share an incredibly deep personal moment. We had a dedication a few weeks ago about having people in our lives that may disappoint us. And sometimes there's nothing we can do but just hope and pray and believe that one day they'll find their peace. And I had a member come up to me after class, and she thanked me for what we spoke about at the end of class, because she had a niece that was struggling with drug addiction. And she just broke down and started crying. And she said, I needed to hear that. I needed to hear that. And she wrote it out during that song. And she got whatever it was that was heavy on her, it was lighter as she left.
And that was because of the space that you provided for her during that moment, right?
Exactly.
So that speaks to the why on behind sharing, why we'd even want to share a story. Making that connection with somebody else and how they can identify it with it in their own way. But ultimately, I'm hearing that you're building a much more solid community of people who follow you because of you sharing your authentic message.
Absolutely. And then in turn, they're authentic with me. And then that bond that forms is unbreakable. There's nothing that's going to get in between.
So when you walk into the club, when Saira walks into the club, not Sarah, how do you feel when you walk into the club? What's it like? The second you walk in the door, you check in, you say hi to the front desk, you're seeing members. What's that feeling like for you?
I feel so comfortable and so alive. And they know me for everything. The good, the bad, the ugly, whatever it is. And they accept it. And they still keep coming. And they still love me. They haven't judged me for it. It's amazing.
So cool. So any questions for Saira today, guys?
I'll just say I remember so many of your dedications because she does have such a way of just connecting. Because if you look at Saira and I, we're two completely different people, but we have very parallel lives with our ethnicity. And I remember, so the first dedication I ever heard was the story that you guys heard. The second dedication is something I relate to in an opposite way, is that somebody had made a comment to her about how tiny she is.
Yes.
And I would always, I mean, people will still say, you know, going back to what Katie said, you know, you don't look like a fitness instructor. So on the opposite side, but how that completely just changed. And I connected, I was like ugly crying. I ugly cry a lot lately, apparently. But she just has this way of, doesn't matter where you come from, what story she's telling, there's something that you can get out of it. And the whole class, like, just on the same page.
Thank you, Eliza. You're the best. You're amazing.
So,
I totally remember
on that note, Eliza, do you find that your performance and delivery of your classes, because of that moment alone, has become better?
I think yeah. Because I've taken from, because I started taking Saira's class before I became a performer. So not that I strive to be like her, but I strive to touch somebody in the way that, you know, I felt in Saira's class. And in one of my Edge classes the other day, I started it with the quote that was a Maya Angelou quote. And it was, people will probably forget what you say, and people will probably forget what you did, but they will never forget the way that you make them feel. And I took that into, you know, it's the new year and you don't know who's coming in. You don't know who's sitting next to you. And on this call right now is Kathy Graham. And hers was the very first class that I ever took in my life when I was 300 pounds. And I cannot remember a single song that she did in that first class. But it was because of that class, it sparked something in me to want to continue to lose weight. And I will never forget the way that I felt in that class. So I expressed that to my class. And in my hope was that you don't know who's next to you. You don't know if that one smile from somebody, you can change their life. You can make them come back. We all see it in the beginning of the year. You know, people are trying to do something. It takes one rude person to be like, I'm not going back. But it also just takes one smile to move forward. And I think that touching people is what we do. And every time I've taken another performer's class, that feeling that I get from Saira's class or Kathy's class or Ariel's class or Aaron's class, it's something that it just changes you every day. Makes us
That's
better
awesome.
as performers.
It's amazing.
Amazing.
So, hey, Saira, I'm going to toss back to you, and I know we're just a few minutes over the 1 o'clock hour Central Time. Is there anything else that you'd like to add before we wrap up?
I want to encourage everyone to dare themselves to be more authentic in their performances. Stop worrying about what people think so much. The moment that you just relax and be who you are in front of people is the moment that creates that judgment-free space in that studio for everyone to thrive in. It just goes hand in hand. That's all.
So what about when you're in a class and everybody has a stone cold face? Do you still need to follow those rules of what you just said?
100%. Be who you are, no matter where you are. Stone cold face or smiling faces. You can break those stone cold faces, trust me. I believe in that 100%.
Me too. Anything else, Saira?
I love you, JR. You're the best.
I love you too. This is like the first time we've ever really been able to interact within this last week. Love what you're doing, and I'm a huge fan. So keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to have the platform to do it. Amp Cycle has done that. The amount of lives that we've changed over this past Christmas, I saw from when the members sent cards and the stories that I didn't even know, the changes and the transformations that were happening. It's because of Amp Cycle. It's changed everybody that I've come into contact in my classes on so many levels. And I want to thank you for that, because without it, I don't know where we'd be in Algonquin, to be honest. It's like a little bit of life for us. Yeah.
We've got at Lifetime, we have a lot of incredible formats that offer a stage for us performers, but those stages mean nothing if we can't do what you're talking about. So it really comes down to the heart of the performer.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hillary, anything else from you? Any final thoughts that you'd like to add?
I just wanted to thank you, Saira, for reiterating the being authentic, and the thing that's really been sticking with me since you've started is you saying the good, the bad, the ugly. You are loved by all those things, and the perfectionist just doesn't exist, and we can't focus on that. And embrace the flaws, embracing the good, the bad, and the ugly. Try to do the best we can, but just being you and being comfortable with you is so freeing. It's amazing. So freeing when you finally let it go, because it's
Absolutely.
And thank you for reiterating that, especially with embracing all areas of that, and to Katie as well. I know she may watch this again later. It's pretty incredible session today. Thank you all so much, and thank you to everybody for the feedback that you've given me, and all of us on the chat. I'm going to go back and read some of that as well. So it's been pretty amazing. Thank y'all. In Texas, we say y'all. Thank you.
I always try to say like Southern words, but it just doesn't sound right. So, you can do it. Anyway, everybody that joined in today, whether on the recorded version or here live with us today, you guys, thank you so much. These platforms and opportunities wouldn't exist if it weren't for you attending them. So please keep joining in with Amp Talk Live, Roundtable, On Air Live, all those fun layers that we have provided for you just to share these stories and to interact. And who knows, maybe one or several of you that are tuned in today will be next on one of these episodes. So stay tuned for hopefully for me to reach out to you, but just stay dialed in on the Grid Guide. So that's all we have. All right. Thank you so much. Have an awesome Friday.
Thank you, JR. You too.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you, JR. You're the best.
You're awesome. You're the best.
See you guys. Thank you so much. Later.
I know.